So with the book finally out, I know you have signings, but how much more press do you have to do?
Lots.
You still have a lot.
Lots of press.
Even when it's out, you still got to keep doing the...
Yeah, of course. You want to make sure that people still keep seeing it and they want to still...
Of course, I'm talking with Laurie Hernandez here. She's got a brand new book out called I Got This, To Gold and Beyond. You even state it in the book, but it's worth repeating that you had no idea that one little thing that you were saying to yourself just to kind of psych yourself into the right spot, to calm down, to focus and everything was going to be something that got picked up and all of a sudden became a huge social media trend.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't think that me just saying that little phrase was going to go viral. It was...
Right.
You know, I had done that in previous competitions where I would speak to myself and I would kind of just calm myself down and say, okay, you can do it. I believe in you. Stay calm, breathe. You got it. And I would do that, and that really centered me to prepare and be in the right mindset for when I was competing. So I did that at the Olympics, and they happened to catch it.
When you're competing at that level, do they give you any kind of warning saying there's going to be cameras and microphones on, be careful what you say? Or do they
my
just
teammates
assume
did.
Or do they just assume that you know how to handle yourself?
They do assume that you know how to handle it, but at the same time, my teammates really kind of helped me out with that one. They were like, look, there's going to be cameras everywhere, but at the same time, don't worry about the cameras, don't worry about the media, don't worry about the people, don't worry about the pictures, worry about yourself, and just stay centered and remind yourself why you're here. And by doing that, it really helped us to stay calm and be able to compete together.
Did that go through your mind, oh my god, what if I say something, if you landed wrong or whatever? Look, you're human. You're a human being. It does tend to happen, but does that really weigh heavy on you, or does it get to the point where it's so old hat that you don't? It doesn't even come to mind anymore that you might let something out that shouldn't?
Well, it's not even that. It's more just thinking about having to get even that far in the first place. If you're thinking about your reaction of falling, if you might fall, then you're gonna fall, and then you should think about your reaction. But by not even thinking about that in the first place, of course you have to remind yourself, okay, be respectful, but at the same time you're thinking about making the best routine that you can possibly do at the time.
When you're doing what you do, especially at the level that you do it at, what causes the biggest injury? Because you had the hand thing, and that just was from doing a somersault or something,
I was doing
right?
a skill on the beam, and I slipped and I landed on the beam the wrong way and broke my wrist. But
so is the beam the biggest?
It's everywhere.
Thing?
You can hurt yourself everywhere. People think that vault is the event where it's you're least likely to get injured, and that's where my worst injury actually occurred. But at the same time, you can't be afraid of injuries, because then you can't. It's going to be really hard for you to progress and proceed in the sport. You have to go out there kind of fearless,
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, a lot of times injuries can come from not focusing or not understanding the skill properly. Because basically for me on vault, I didn't understand that if I was under-rotated, I was supposed to land a certain way. And so I just assumed that I was supposed to, land on my knees safely and just roll out of it. But that was obviously a bad idea. So, it's just understanding your body and understanding the skill.
Does sometimes that come from just, the luck of the draw, getting the injury? Because there's, yourself included, so many people who have got this done. You could do that a million times and be fine. And then the one time where it's supposed to count, all of a sudden that happens, and sometimes it just looks like no fault of your own.
Yeah, I mean, for gymnastics, a lot of times it can be through luck or unlucky circumstances. I know many gymnasts who they'll land a certain way and it's fine for them to land that way. But for me personally, if I landed that way, that would really hurt my body and my bones. So it's all just kind of finding out what works for you. If any other girl would have fallen on the beam like I fell, they probably would have been fine. But for some reason, I just happened to land the wrong way.
Going into the 2016 Olympics in Rio, obviously you've had years of dedication to this sport, and of course a lot of ramping up just to make the national team, and then even more so just to make the Olympic team. So you get some downtime after the big event. You're planning for 2020, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when does the full momentum of that cycle start up again? How much time do you have after an event like the Olympics to yourself to live a life, to relax a little bit before you have to go hardcore training again?
Allie Raisman took off about a year and a few months, and she was able to come back to the best of her abilities. I thought that she was in the greatest shape ever in 2016. And so it really all depends on the person and yourself. Again, you have to figure out what's best for you. So for me, I think I would take a pretty short break, but at the same time, I do need a break because, I've been going for a little while, being on the Dancing with the Stars tour and everything. So that's been like a lot. But at the same time, there's 3 years left, so I do have time.
You know, also with Dancing with the Stars, leave something for somebody else. I mean, you're at your age, gold medals in the Olympics, you win Dancing with the Stars.
Thank you.
You don't want to peak too early, but I don't see that in any in your immediate future.
Well, I mean,
there's a lot
I'm only
more
16,
to go for. Yeah,
so I think I can keep going.
I know. There's so much other stuff that you can do. Going into 2020 for the Olympics there, you're going to be about 20 years old, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, because of the nature of that sport, you're on the tail end.
On the quote older side.
Yeah.
20 is pretty old for gymnastics. Allie was 22. So,
right.
You know, I can definitely do it.
No, I'm not doubting that you can.
No, yeah.
I find it amazing that, because I heard Bob Costas talking about it too during the Olympics there, that when you get to that age, you're the veteran.
Yeah,
you know, and you're
so
only
weird.
22. You're looked at by the kids and the tweens as the old person.
We called Allie Grandma Allie,
Right.
just because she was like the oldest of the group, and she also really liked to take naps. But yeah, we called her like the mama of the group because she always looked out for us, and I think it was because of her age, which 22 is very, very young. But for gymnastics, it's a little bit on the older side.
No, you're a veteran. You're 16 years old. You're a role model to a lot of people, whether doing gymnastics or not. Did you do the Kellogg's tour?
I did.
You did.
Yes.
Okay. So when you go and you meet all these young girls and all these young boys that are doing gymnastics and hoping to one day achieve what you do there, like what's that feel like? I mean, because it's difficult to go through and ponder when you're in your 30s and you're a professional athlete. Like football players are usually done somewhere in their 30s, and then they're giving advice and being role models to younger kids coming up there. You're 16. You're a vet. You're on the world stage. You're a gold medalist. How do you process all of that when you're talking to the younger kids and giving them advice?
Well, I mean, at the same time, being able to see little kids get so excited to meet all of us and be like, oh, you're such an inspiration, or you have parents coming up and saying, you know, my daughter started gymnastics because they saw you, and that really inspires me because, you know, when I was a kid, at 5 years old, I remember seeing a gymnast on TV, and I was like, wow, I want to be just like her.
Who?
I want to do Shawn Johnson. And I pointed to her. I looked at my mom. I was like, I wanted to be a gymnast just like she is. And seeing that inspired me to start gymnastics and love the sport. And so if I'm able to do that for someone else, then that's
have you met
so
Shawn?
nice.
Have you told her that?
I have, yeah.
What
She's
did
such
she
a
say?
sweetheart. She's just very kind about it. Always, you know, we got to tour together. She was also on the Kellogg's tour, and so we were able to kind of hang out and talk there. But she's always been a role model to me, and she always will be.
I wanted to ask you about the team size. I was working for NBC in the '96 Olympics, so I was down there and I saw the Magnificent Seven. And I'm a big wrestling fan. I don't know if you are, but Kurt Angle, who was with the WWE, won his gold medals in '96 down in Atlanta. And I noticed over the years, and then they focused a lot with you guys being called the Final Five because of Bella and I forget Marta's last time doing the Olympics. But why are they decreasing the team size so much over the last 20 years? Because it was like at 7 at one point, it was 6 for a while, down to 5, and now this is the final time that you guys did 5, because it's going to be 4 now going forward.
4 and then 2 specialists. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure why the rules are that way. I mean, they have like a whole board of people who decide on the rules, so I don't exactly
Is that the Olympics
know.
rules, or is that the United States rules?
Olympic rules.
Olympic rules,
They're called FIG rules, I think. And basically, like, it's a whole committee of people who decide on rules, and that changes every 4 years. Basically because they want to make sure that the sport of gymnastics is increasing and progressing, because if you notice back then watching gymnastics, you see them do a forward roll and they're like, wow, that's crazy. Now you got girls doing double doubles, and if they don't stick it, you're like, wow, that was rough. But you can tell that this sport is really progressing, and it's progressing fast. And seeing that there's only 4 girls as a team who are able to go for 2020, that's interesting, and it creates more of a challenge, and I guess that's what people like to see.
Because it's not only are those coveted slots to begin with, but eliminating it down to 4, I mean, that is do or die time. To qualify for, especially for 2020, there's only 4 slots for main competition.
But at the same time, they did add 2 specialist spots. So
what does that entail?
Basically, the 4 girls who are on the team, they have to be all-arounders. And so you have to be able to participate in vault, bars, beam, and floor. And so basically, when all those girls compete together, if they win a team medal, then they get the team medal. But the girls who are individual they do individual events. Like, let's say you're a bar specialist, and so you only go and you compete bars, or you're a beam specialist, you only go and you compete beam. Those two girls, they can win medals for themselves, but they're not a part of the team medal.
Have you seen an increase or decrease in the interest in gymnastics in this country?
I think I've seen an increase. I do notice a lot of little girls who are like, hey, I started gymnastics because of you. I saw you at the Olympics, and they get so excited. I'm like, wow, I did that.
But
That's
you see
crazy.
you see more people at the every level of competition that you're going to?
I think so. I mean, the Olympics was the last competition that I participated in and went to, so I haven't seen any recent gymnastics.
No, I mean leading up to that, like through your whole life there. I mean, did you notice as you were progressing that there were more and more people that were actually able to compete at events? Like, do you see a bigger interest in people going into gymnastics?
I mean, I never really looked at it like that. All the time when I went to competitions, I was always just kind of worried about myself and how I was doing, so it's a little hard to answer that, but at the same time, I do think that people are taking gymnastics a little more seriously and getting excited about it, which is a good thing.
I loved the foam pit when I was a kid.
Aww.
When you go in there and it was just all this chopped up foam blocks.
Oh, but the worst is when you're conditioning and you have to jump in there and then you get all
and you kind of, it's like
foam pit
in
everywhere.
the pool, you're trying to cycle and all that. Yeah. At the point when I realized I couldn't sit in the foam pit the entire time, that was the end of my gymnastics career.
Aww.
But let me talk about your performance, the routine that you have to do, the music that is picked. Mm-hmm. How does that process work? Do you get to pick songs that you like? Is there a certain catalog of music that's cleared that they said you can use any of these songs? Like, how does it work?
Well, the music picking is usually different for everybody. I mean, it's not like a specific thing. A lot of girls will find songs that they like and, mash them together themselves and then use it.
Right.
But in my case, I was at the national team training camp, and we had one of the national team choreographers. He was like, oh, hey, I picked out like a couple songs and stuff like that. I wanted to see if you liked them. And also we had like my coach's fiance. He would pick out music for me too. And so it's a big team effort for everybody to pick music.
So there's not really a restriction where they're saying that, you can't use this Beyonce song or you can't use...
I mean, it's more noticing that it is the Olympics and you want something that the crowd and the judges are going to be drawn to and it's going to bring attention. You don't want something that's kind of like a snoozer and it goes very slow. Although there are some gymnasts who are very graceful and can really pull that off, and by doing that you get a very good score.
Do you ever do you use music that where the artist has noticed that you were using their music in the routine and they reach out to you?
Not personally. I always use music that was kind of hidden and on the side, and a lot of times the best floor routines are the ones with like the most random instruments in there. Like you have like this,
it's just to help keep rhythm and pace
tune,
rather than...
And then all of a sudden like this, I don't know, triangle comes out of nowhere, and being able to hit points like that, it's like, wow, she's very artistic, and having those beats can really help you in rhythm.
The Today Show did something where they surprised Simone because of her undying love for Zac Efron. Mm-hmm. And they brought him down, and she got to meet him, went crazy, and you all got to hang out with him, and everybody was seeming to enjoy their time. But if you had the choice, who is your person that you would have loved to have surprise you?
Probably Dave Franco.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's
he is
beautiful,
the better Franco out of the two.
No, they're both cool, but also Dad's in the room, so I probably shouldn't talk about boys. But
oh, this is your dad? Hello,
yeah,
sir. How are
dad.
you? Nice to meet you. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Another surprise you had was not too long ago on Ellen, that you were a big Law & Order fan, and she surprised you, which you thought that it was just like a video greeting, like, hey, we're big fans, whatever, but they invite you to come on the show.
Yeah.
Now, one, is Dad cool with that?
Oh, yeah, Dad's cool with it. I think so. Mom is cool with it, too.
Big Law & Order fan? Okay, good.
Me and Mom and Dad and my sister, actually, our whole family really likes Law & Order, so it was crazy. I was like mind blown watching Mariska Hargitay and Ice-T just kind of talk through the screen.
So you get this invite. So you're going to probably go and do something, right?
I think so, yes.
Do you have anything set in mind? Like, oh, I want to be the runaway. I want to be the person with the substance abuse. I want to be the teacher that was too hard on the student.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities to play a bad character. It's really
get this invite now. Do you have the role in mind that you would like to portray if that's available?
I'm still trying to decide if I want to cause the problem or if I want to be the victim of the problem, just because either role is really cool.
Right.
So, like, watching, you're like, ooh, look at this guy, he's causing trouble. Or you're like, oh my God, this poor girl, like, had a problem. problem, and like it feels so bad. But being able to like see all the sides of Law and Order, either one, I would love to just be in there. I mean,
I wonder if it's like getting a catalog for Christmas where you flip through and you pick the toys that you want for Christmas. All right, now you could be a runaway here. You could be a problem child student over here. You're going through the catalog. It's like, here's all the scenarios that we could do.
I mean, their episodes have been really interesting lately, just because. I mean, I'm on season 16, so I've been kind of watching constantly. They've been using a lot of stories where it's like, ooh, plot twists, and it's like in the beginning you're like, oh yeah, it's for sure this guy, and then it's some guy they didn't even mention in the beginning, and so.
What if it's something so far fetched, like you're an international hacker? Like you're trying to ruin an election or something. It's like she's 16 years old, but that's the way the world is. The kids know how to run everything.
I don't
know. Did you ever see the movie The Bronze with Melissa Rauch?
I don't think so.
She's from the Big Bang Theory. Did you ever watch that show?
Oh yeah, I've seen that show.
She's Wolowitz's wife. I can't remember her name, but she did a movie about being a gymnast in the Olympics who won a bronze, and then just kind of stayed in the moment a little too long. Like she constantly is going around, and she's in her 30s, and she won the bronze when she was like 18 years old, and she wears the tracksuit still. It's a weird. Oh wow! But it's a comedy.
That's interesting.
It's a weird movie. I was wondering if any of the you or the other gymnasts have ever seen that movie and can not relate to it, but I mean just look at it and can look back and laugh and like, wow, we know people like that.
Wearing my competition outfit. That'd be interesting. I don't think I'd want to wear a leotard at 30. But at the same time, there is one gymnast. Her name's Oksana. She is 40 years old competing at the Olympics. And she is a gymnastics legend. I mean, every time you go to the Olympics, you see this woman. You're like, wow, she is powerful. We don't know how she does that. She's magic.
What country is she from?
She's competed for a few countries.
I think I saw her. Wasn't this her last Olympics?
I think so.
Yeah, but she'd been in like the last 4 or 5, something like that.
Yes,
yeah,
she is
I remember seeing
a
that news
gymnastics
story.
legend. I mean, watching her, you're like, wow, I don't know how you do that. You are amazing. So,
can you do that in the United States? Like, you could still physically compete, but
would they
still let you qualify at that age?
If you are able enough and you are really able to help the team at the time, then yeah, of course, it doesn't matter what age you are, but you have to be healthy, you have to be consistent, and you have to be able to help our team in a way that we really need you.
I know they had an age restriction as far as how old you have to be in order.
You have to be 16.
16 on the team. I always just wonder because usually when they get into their 20s is when they unofficially retire from Olympic competition, but they still go and do other things like that. I didn't know if it was just kind of pressured and like we need to get some younger people in or whatever.
No, but they do. Like Allie's age was kind of like, oh, hey, wow, she's 22 and she's competing for the U.S. at the Olympics. That's amazing. And so basically, like ages around there, like from 16, 22, 23, 24, that age, that's kind of like your barrier, I guess. And after that, you get a little bit more tired. It gets a little bit harder to do routines, and that's why they lean a little bit more towards like Allie's age and my age.
Final question with the book, and by the way, the book is called I Got This, To Gold and Beyond. You finished the Olympics. Mm-hmm. You're coming back to the United States. You get home. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing that you're craving that you want to eat?
Me and all the girls ate pizza as our cheat meal. We got really excited and we begged for pizza. I mean, after the Olympics, we were eating so
good
healthy.
Pizza, right?
Good pizza, New York pizza. I mean, it was great.
You're from Jersey, so
I'm from Jersey. We were like,
you can't throw a rock and not hit good pizza. So
we have to. So basically, yeah. I mean, we all ate together.
Laurie, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's LZ Hernandez 02 on Twitter, and then Laurie Hernandez _ on Instagram. The book is I Got This, To Gold and Beyond. Well, Laurie, you're living your dream here and having the time of your life. I couldn't be more happy for you. I enjoyed watching you in Brazil for the Olympics, and I look forward to 2020 when you're back there and racking up countless other golds.
Aw, thank you.
Because that just seems to be the way America's going at this point.
Aw, thank you very much.
Thank you.